All right, you've saved up all your life and you probably have a number of assets that you would like to pass on to your family. And you may be wondering, what is the best way to make that happen without leaving a burden on your family? Well, we have in studio today financial advisor Jonathan McCoy to help us understand the estate planning process. This is a super important process. We just had friends of ours who lost their dad. No estate plan in place, and they just had a lot to go through. Having those conversations, though, I think with family are really uncomfortable. But would it be safe to say that you don't have a complete retirement plan if you don't have that estate plan in place?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And working not just with our estate planning attorney in-house, but also our tax advisors, they're a huge part of the estate planning process for our clients at Market Advisory Group, because we're looking at what are the things you can be doing while you're alive? It's not just about, after you pass away. And a lot of folks I talk to say, well, I'm gone. Why do I care?
Yeah.
Well, when we hear the stories of folks in the future generations that have dealt for years on end with the mess of what can become probate and trying to get an establishment of an executor for the estate, if that's not already on paper, you're setting your family up for a massive headache and an expensive headache.
And a long, drawn-out process, too.
Right.
Let's talk qualified and non-qualified accounts. I've heard those thrown around. What are those? Is it good to have one or the other, or a mix of both in our portfolios?
Well, we recommend diversification in all fields of investment and savings management. So diversification from a tax perspective, you've got tax-free style of accounts like Roth IRAs. You have traditional qualified accounts, which are pre-tax, which means when you withdraw from them, like an IRA or 401k, you're going to have to pay taxes on it. And then you have taxable accounts, which are basically savings that you decide to invest. Now, the growth can become taxable through capital gains, dividends, and interest payments. But having all three buckets is actually an important way to diversify, so that, especially in retirement, if an emergency arises, if you've only got a 401k or an IRA to pull from, that's going to artificially increase, I shouldn't say artificially, in reality increase your taxable income, which can make it even more expensive to try to live on that money.
Switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about, a lot of people have the goal of paying off their mortgage as part of their retirement plan or retirement goals, but obviously every situation is different. Are there ways to make the money to pay off a house could be better used, maybe? Again, you talked about diversification. How does that work out when we're looking at our retirement and our income benefits?
Well, it's such a common question and common concern. I don't want to go into retirement with a massive mortgage over my head, right? And plenty of our clients even do live a healthy, happy lifestyle in retirement while paying a mortgage. So it's not that it's impossible. I think we get in our heads that we've got to be debt-free in order to live and make our money last. And that can be the case, and that's ultimately the optimum case. But we go back to those qualified and non-qualified accounts. If the only money that you have left to be able to pay that mortgage is money that's going to be taxed as you pull it out, you're not only paying the interest on the mortgage, but now you're paying what? 10, 12, 22, potentially 24% tax rate on just the federal side, not accounting for state taxes. It becomes very expensive to use those retirement funds to help pay down debt. So that's a strategy that we're very careful to plan around and look, like you said, at some of those alternative solutions. How can we generate other income streams to maybe help make that mortgage payment?
Very individualized. And really quick, we do have a question from a viewer. This is from Bob. Bob writes, I have always handled our family investments, but now that we're retiring, I'm concerned about my wife. She's unaware of how the investments work and how she has no interest in getting involved now. Do you have any suggestions on what to do?
Well, believe it or not, some of our consultations turn into a little bit of marriage counseling. And
you didn't know you had that extra title, did you?
Exactly. But it caused me to want to go into some additional training to know how to handle those situations, which is fine. But when we're dealing with married couples, normally there is sort of the CFO of the relationship, right? And the risk is, if that person passes away, the remaining spouse, surviving spouse, has no idea what to do, and then they're seeking help from people they've never met before. So we recommend just having an open and honest conversation about the finances. Most people, they don't want to deal with it because it stresses them out. But would you rather deal with the stress now or deal with the stress later when you have no idea what's going on and you've just unexpectedly lost a spouse?
And get out in front of it, definitely, for sure. Well, Jonathan, thank you for your time this morning. To schedule a complimentary consultation and submit your questions, make sure you visit AskOurAdvisor.com or call 816-548-2000. We'll take your questions, meet with you one-on-one, free of charge. If you include your address, Market Advisory Group will send you a free gift.